right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft is in the books. There were some surprises last night in the first round at Cleveland, which were to be expected. However, there was no surprise with the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence first overall, and they were followed by the New York Jets, who had the second overall pick, and they selected BYU quarterback Zach Wilson. No surprises there. The first surprise came with the third overall pick as the San Francisco 49ers decided to take North Dakota State quarterback Trey Lance. Now, we all knew when San Francisco made the trade to come up from 12 with Miami that the 49ers were going to take a quarterback. A lot of people expected them to take Mac Jones. However, it was Trey Lance and his athleticism that won over both John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. No surprise that the Atlanta Falcons took Kyle Pitts fourth overall, the tight end out of Florida. I know that the Falcons were listening to calls, but the thing was, at that point, if nobody was really going to move up to take a quarterback, Atlanta wasn't going to move out of that pick. For me, the first surprise, or the first really big surprise, rather, came with the fifth overall pick with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, you have quarterback Joe Burrow, and of course, Burrow got beat up a lot behind a porous offensive line last year. His season was cut short due to an injury. And I expected the Bengals to go for Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon here. However, they decided on Burrow's college teammate and wide receiver Jamar Chase. And to me, Chase has all of the tools to be a good one. But with that said, the passing game really doesn't mean anything if your offensive line can't block. You look at Miami, I expected them to take a pass catcher at number 6, and that's what they did with former Alabama standout Jalen Waddle. And since the Bengals passed on Sewell, Detroit was more than happy to take him with the 7th overall selection. The Lions have a new head coach in Dan Campbell, former NFL tight end, more of a blocking tight end, and he wants a physical team. The Lions just made the trade to acquire quarterback Jared Goff from the Los Angeles Rams. So with that said, you got to protect his blind side, and I think Sewell is going to be the guy to do that. Carolina at number 8 was probably hoping that Penei Sewell fell to them because this is a team that just made the trade for quarterback Sam Darnold with the New York Jets, and you have to protect him as well. Since Sewell was gone, they decided on South Carolina cornerback J.C. Horn. Carolina's secondary definitely needs to be upgraded. However, I thought that Patrick Surtain II was going to be that selection. Now, here was a shock here. There were some people who expected the Denver Broncos to take a quarterback at pick number 9. I did not, especially since they just acquired Teddy Bridgewater from Carolina. They instead opted for cornerback Patrick Surtain II. To me, the best cover corner available in this draft, and I think he's going to be a starter from day one with the Broncos. Now, since Surtain was taken 9th by the Broncos, the Dallas Cowboys decided to trade out of the 10th slot with the Philadelphia Eagles, and this was like the old switcheroo right here because Philly went with Devonta Smith, and of course, they need more explosiveness on the offensive side of the ball. They took Jalen Reagor last year in the second round, and it has not worked out so far, but by Philly taking that pick, the New York Giants, they really had their eyes on Smith, and since he fell out of, their selection process, or didn't fall to them, rather, at pick number 11, they traded out of that pick and moved down to 20, and the Chicago Bears moved up to number 11 to take quarterback Justin Fields. I know that there are going to be some people who are going to say, well, Justin Fields didn't look too excited to be taken by the Bears. At the end of the day, this is a Bears organization, and I talked about it in a recent podcast where they have struggled, and I mean struggled mightily to develop quarterbacks in their organization. You think about some of the recent first rounders over the past 20 years or so who have been taken by the Bears at the quarterback position, and it simply has not worked out. You think about Cade McNown, Rex Grossman, and then of course most recently Mitchell Trubisky. Justin Fields has the tools to be a solid NFL quarterback. But the bottom line is the Bears don't have the talent around him on that side of the ball or the coaching to help him, take his game to another level. So I really think that Justin Fields is going to struggle somewhat in Chicago. Dallas moved back to number 12 with Philly. And they took Micah Parsons, a linebacker out of Penn State. The Cowboys a few years ago, they took Leighton Vander Esch early, the outside linebacker from BYU. But the only issue with Vander Esch is his inability to stay healthy. A guy like Parsons would have definitely been a top 5 pick had he not sat out the 2020 college football season due to COVID. This guy can do it all. He can line up in multiple positions. And I guarantee you he's going to make this Cowboys defense much better from day one. The Los Angeles Chargers have their guy at quarterback in Justin Herbert. Now they want to protect him. They took the second best offensive tackle available in this draft at pick number 13 with Rashawn Slater. You looked at the New York Jets. They moved up from the 23rd slot to make a trade with the Minnesota Vikings. They took the guard out of USC, Elijah Vera Tucker. And for me, the Jets do have Mekhi Becton on that offensive line at tackle. Now they're trying to set up their left side of that line for the next coming years, especially as they look to protect the youngster in quarterback in Zach Wilson. Now, a lot of people thought that New England was going to have to trade up to get a quarterback. They stayed at 15, and to me, they got their guy in Mac Jones. It's all about systems and it's all about fits. And I really didn't see Mac Jones fitting in San Francisco, especially with the 3rd overall selection. I think this is a better scheme fit for him, and I think it's a value pick at pick number 15. The Patriots are in a unique position because they don't have to push Mac Jones out there early. They still have Cam Newton. Cam Newton's really going to try to work hard to show that he still has the tools to be the Patriots starting quarterback. However, at some point, if New England falls out of playoff contention this year, I see Mac Jones. If not, by the start of the 2022 NFL season, Mac Jones will definitely be their guy. He goes from Nick Saban to Bill Belichick, and we've known about this connection for a long time. Of course, Saban once upon a time was Belichick's defensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns. Belichick, over the years, has taken his fair share of Alabama guys in the draft. So, first and foremost, Mac Jones is going to know the ins and outs as far as preparing to be a professional. He's going to get the work, with Patriots offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, from day one, get himself familiarized with the playbook in Foxborough. It's a situation, with Mac Jones, he had to go to the right situation, having talent around him. He was not a guy who could put a team on his back. We saw the Patriots spend plenty in the offseason to upgrade things on the offensive side of the ball. So I think, this pick will work for New England. Arizona at number 16. They could have been in the market for an offensive lineman to protect quarterback Kyler Murray, but they instead opted for Tulsa linebacker Zaven Collins, who was both the Bronco Nagurski and Chuck Bednarik award winner for 2020. And you look at this Arizona defense, which has gotten a lot better very quick. You bring in a guy like Zaven Collins. They also went out there and signed J.J. Watt in free agency, and they also picked up Malcolm Butler in their secondary. So the Cardinals are looking at it like this. They know that they're going to need a defense to get out of the NFC West, and they are definitely beefing up on that side of the ball. The Raiders at number 17 shocked a lot of people, myself included, by taking Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. Leatherwood is a solid offensive lineman. However, I feel that the Raiders could have gotten him in the second round. So they reached in this one and they really bid against themselves. Miami, with their second pick of the first round, they reached to me a little bit with Jalen Phillips, the defensive end out of the University of Miami. Washington at number 19. Some people, myself included, expected them to go for a receiver, possibly to upgrade their offense. They instead opted for linebacker Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. He is a darn good player. He can play the outside, and I think he can have an impact due to the fact that he's playing behind arguably one of, if not the best defensive lines in the NFL. Now, here's the intrigue right here. The Giants, who traded down from 11 to 20 with Chicago, they could have used Micah Parsons on that defense, and they passed on him, obviously, when they traded down. Devonta Smith was their guy, and they did not get him. So you still get value right here with Kadarius Toney at wide receiver. This guy can flat out fly, make no mistake about it. So the Giants are looking at it right now. They spent plenty in free agency to upgrade their offense. They're also hoping that quarterback running back rather, Saquon Barkley, can come back healthy this year, and they are hopeful that their young quarterback Daniel Jones can take the next step, as this is going to be the first time in his career that he is going to have the same offensive coordinator in consecutive years with Jason Garrett. The Indianapolis Colts took a project at pick number 21 with Kwity Paye, the defensive end out of Michigan, but he can be coached up to have an impact. I expected the Titans to take a DB with pick number 22 after, they had a house cleaning in their secondary this offseason. Caleb Farley would have been a little bit higher on on this draft board, but the thing was, he had the back surgery in March, really allowed his draft stock to fall, but the Titans are hopeful that they can coach him up, and they found the gem right here. You look at Pittsburgh at number 24, we're taking Najee Harris, the running back out of Alabama. The Steelers need some more impact in their running game, and I think they got it here. Jacksonville took Travis Etienne, the running back out of Clemson at 25. I felt like it was a bit of a reach just due to the fact that I felt that Jacksonville could have gotten Etienne with the first pick of the second round. This guy is a real deal. My only thing when I worry about Etienne is the fact that he could have come out last year and decided to come back to school. That's an extra year of wear and tear at the running back position. Will that help or hinder him in the NFL? We'll have to wait and see. Baltimore. I expected them to go offensive lineman right here. They did not. They took Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver out of Minnesota. For me, I think Buffalo got themselves a little bit of a steal right here. Pick number 30, Gregory Rousseau, the defensive end out of Miami, didn't play in 2020, had a ton of sacks in 2019 for Miami, and now it's a situation where he's going to a team that has one of the better defenses in the NFL. He doesn't have to sit out there and be the guy, so I think that is definitely going to help him. Finishing up the first round, you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at pick number 32. They took Joe Tryon, the outside linebacker out of Washington, another guy who sat out in 2020 due to COVID. But if you're the Bucs right here, you return all 22 starters from your championship team, and you got a situation right here where you can bring them along, you can put them in packages, put them on special teams as well. Because I said going into this draft, the Bucs were in position to take the best athlete available, and at pick number 32, that is definitely what they did. I'm looking at the second round tonight. Of course, things are going to get kicked off with Jacksonville at pick number 33. Maybe this is where they finally go out there and get that offensive lineman. Tevin Jenkins is still available out of Oklahoma State. Another name to keep an eye on is definitely going to be Asante Samuel Jr., the DB out of Florida State. There are definitely going to be some teams out there that need some help in their secondary. Maybe the Philadelphia Eagles at pick number 37. You also look at another defensive back, Trayvon Moehrig, the safety out of TCU. This guy really had the goods to go in round number 1. He didn't. He fell. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys at pick number 44, if he is still available, they go after him. Or maybe they go after Asante Samuel Jr. with that pick. We'll have to wait and see. You talk about it, and it's still sad that the Houston Texans, you're not going to hear their name early on tonight as well. We didn't hear the Texans make a pick last night as well. They had that horrific draft trade with the Miami Dolphins, which saw them give up a 1 and a 2 last year and a 1 and a 2 this year. So it's really going to hinder this team. That was one of the worst teams in the National Football League. But, you can't talk about the first round without talking about the quarterbacks. 5 quarterbacks went in this first round, as was to be expected. I like the fit for Mac Jones. He definitely has an opportunity to make something happen with New England. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence has the skill, but you know what? It's still the unknown with a college coach in Urban Meyer, especially an older college coach in Urban Meyer who's set in his ways. We'll have to wait and see. Zach Wilson, he's walking into a tough situation because I keep saying it. The Jets and their fan base still think that Joe Namath is walking through the door. They gave up on Sam Darnold real quick, and I want to know how much patience is this organization going to have with Zach Wilson, a kid that needs to have patience. Trey Lance, he brings the athleticism to the 49ers and this Kyle Shanahan offense. They are hopeful with the talent around him that they can be right back in the postseason mix real soon. I know that they still have Jimmy Garoppolo and they're saying all the right things, but I don't see a scenario where Jimmy Garoppolo is with the 49ers for that much longer. Justin Fields, he has talent, but to me, I think he went to the wrong team. And like I said before, Mac Jones is definitely a good fit in New England. Probably went to the best situation for him. So the first round did provide some excitement. We're going to see more value picks definitely tonight. And of course, tomorrow, that's where the general managers really make their money through rounds 4 through 7. But you know what? The 2021 NFL draft is off to a solid start. 1 round down, 6 to go. Let's see what else goes down in Cleveland for this draft. And folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There is also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.